Okay. Jai Jinendra, everyone. I hope you're well and hope you've had a pleasant break over the half term and everyone's back to normal. So welcome back to our series of talks. So today we've got Hinaben, who will be talking through chapter 18. So before we start, as always, we would like to start with the Noka Mantra. And can I request Parul to do the Noka Mantra, please?
If we can join our hands together and close our eyes. Namo Arahantaram, Namo Namo, Namo Sitaram, Namo Namo, Namo Ayariyaram, Namo Namo, Namo Uttaradhyana, Namo Namo, Namo Loye Savasahuram, Namo Loye Savasahuram, Eso Panchanamukara, Sava Bhava Parashara, Mangalarancha Sarvesim, Patamang Havai Mangalam, Patamang Havai Mangalam, Patamang Havai Mangalam.
Thank you, Parul, then. Very nicely sung. So I hand over to Hinaben now. Thank you.
Thank you, Parul Ben. Thank you, Rami. I pay my homage to Lord Arhan Prabhu, and I bow down to the respected Acharya-ji and all the Sadhujis. Dear sisters and brothers, good evening. We welcome you this evening. As you know, we are discussing some very inspiring stories from Uttaradhyayana Sutra, which is last sermon of Lord Mahavir. And today we are going to look at the chapter number 18. Now the title of this chapter is Sanjaya, Sanjaya or Sanjaya. There are 2-3 different names that we can find, but we stick to Sanjaya. Okay, and the name is derived from the name of the principal character of the story. So before, like his name, as I said, is King Sanjay, King Samyata, and some different names. Anyway, now before we go into the story, if you all remember, like my previous lectures on chapter number 8 and 9, I did explain to you about 3 different words in Jainism, that is Swayam Sambhuta, Pratyek Buddha, and Buddha Bodhi. So again, to remind you, Swayam Sambhuta is one of those saints who reach the highest stage of knowledge by their own effort. And for that, we looked at the example of Kapil Muni. As you know, he could easily see how he was getting greedy, and he himself realized that it's no end to the greed. So that is why he is called Swayam Sambhuta. Second, Pratyeka Buddha. Pratyeka Buddhas, they need some sort of nimit. They need some sort of incident to happen in their life to reach to that highest knowledge. And for that, we looked at the example of Nami Rajarsi. And as you all remember, that a lot of Bengals made a lot of noise. So he asked everybody to quiet down, and it was just one Bengal which did not make the noise. Right, so he himself realized that just to be on your own, you can achieve to the highest knowledge. And the third one is Buddha Bodhi. That is one of those saints who reach the highest stage of knowledge by staying with the Bodhic people, which is like through regular instructions and religious discipline. For example, Sayati Raja, which is this chapter 18, Sanjaya. Okay, so he is also called Sayati as when he was a king. So now the story is about the incident of the change of heart of this king and consequent practice of faultless ascetic conduct by this king who was fond of hunting. A beautiful assimilation and asceticism, philosophical doctrines, and history can be found in this chapter. It also gives us many inspiring messages for our day-to-day life. Okay, so we go into the story now. So here, as you can see in the picture, King Sanjay, and he's fond of hunting, and King Sanjay lived in Kapilapur town. Okay, now he went into the forest for the hunt with his four-limbed army. When it says four-limbed, so he went with his huge army, which was with lots of elephants, horses, chariots, and paidal, which is like infantry. So everybody goes with him when he goes for hunting. And these soldiers, you know what they do? They draw the deers from the forest towards the saffron garden where this king goes for hunting. And the king starts piercing them with the arrows one by one. Now, this is what exactly happened on this one particular day when he went hunting, and the soldiers started sending all the deers into that garden where the king was going to be. Now, it just so happened that day some wounded deer were running in all directions, and some of them reached the garden and they fell dead. Now, chasing the deer, the king arrived in the garden when he saw ascetic Garda Bali. His name was ascetic Garda Bali, as you can see in the picture. And there he thought that the deer belonged to this ascetic. Therefore, he really got panicked. He got really frightened because he thought that these deers were, they belonged to this ascetic. Now, filled with fear, it says he was filled with fear. But why would he feel so fearful? Just by looking at the ascetic. Anyone? Okay, so he was really fearful because he knew that he was doing something wrong. Yeah, so sometimes with all of us, when we know that we are doing something wrong, but subconscious mind, but when we see nobody is looking, then we just continue doing it, isn't it? And so it is the act that sometimes we perform thinking no one is looking, but we come to the senses when we realize that someone is looking. So this, when he saw this ascetic Gardabali, he got really frightened and he was really fearful. Now his fear was due to some reasons, as he had heard before. He knew that these ascetics have lots of lobbies, and if they get angry, they can really like burn his whole kingdom. He can, they can burn his palace, and they can make him homeless. So he got down from the horse and sought for forgiveness for his crime of killing this deer with joint palms. And ascetic Gardabali at that time was really engrossed in meditation. So he did not speak a word. Now this again, when when somebody doesn't speak anything, then what happens is like it is more effective, the silence of the person who is following the right conduct, rather than thousands of good speakers or thousands of holy books. Is that silence that made him more scared that there's something that I have done drastically wrong. But really, ascetic Gardabali was in meditation, and that is why he did not speak. Now, due to the depth of their knowledge, is their character is so pious. For the example, like even if you look at Acharya Ji, when you go and meet Acharya Channa Ji, you don't even need to talk to her. You sit with her and you feel so blissful. You feel so like there's that peaceful. The peace is in the air when they are around such people. So it really widens our thinking that just by her following this path, she has become so pious, Acharya Ji, and the impact we get by just staying beside her is so blissful. So it was similar with this Acharya Gardabali. So this incident is the introduction. Actually, this incident is just the introduction to the chapter. The actual theme of this chapter begins with the words of the sloka on the next slide. Okay, so now as because now on concluding his meditation, as ascetic Gardabali saw what had happened, and the king was because he was so fearful, he was just waiting for the ascetic to talk. So Gardabali said, Abha o pattiva tuppam abaidaya vavahiya aniche jivalo gammi king himsa e pasajjasi. So it means, he said, now concluding his meditation, O Lord of the land, have no fear from me, but you should also become the fountainhead of fearlessness. In this transient life, why get obsessed with violence? So you see, ascetic Gardabali's reaction was so peaceful. He said, he did not get angry. Instead, he said so, right? So why do you think he said so instead of getting angry? Anybody would like to just participate in this talk we are doing? It makes it more interesting if you give me your opinion and your thinking, and whatever you would like to say in between, it's totally fine. So why do you think he said so? Why Acharya Gardabali did not get angry and he said, you also become the fountainhead of fearlessness?
Is it because he wants everyone to follow the example of the king? He wants him to become an example to his people.
Right. Not example of the king, because king was he was hunting, so he didn't want people to hunt. But his reaction to the king was this peaceful, like he was trying to tell him to be the fountainhead of fearlessness. Yeah. So it is because the main principle of Jainism is ahimsa. Yes. So this ascetic was following Jainism, and therefore priority is rightly given to abhaidan. If you all know what is abhaidan, which exemplifies the principle of ahimsa, by giving dan, one accumulates a lot of punya, and that is why dan is considered as one among the many sources of happiness. As you all know, Jainism they talk about the charity, and there are different kinds of charity they talk about, but Abhay Dan is the main dan that one can give. The Jain scripture suggests that protection of life, which is Abhay Dan, is the highest form of charity that one can do. The concept this concept emphasizes on live and let live, is the famous quote of all followers of Jainism, belief in which means that every living organization in this world has the right to live. As we all believe, we all know ahimsa is our main principle that we all follow, but by not making somebody scared by giving abhaya. Abhaya. The meaning of abhaya, that is two words together, a and bhai. Bhai means like when you get scared, that is bhai in all the other languages. So not to make somebody scared is abhai. So you have this is the word, and that in English is protection of life. Yeah. So you make somebody fearless. Fearlessness is the main charity that one can give to other people. So the Jain scriptures have laid down a well thought process of giving dan. They have widened the scope of dan both for recipient as well as contents of dan. So Jainism mentions fourfold charity known as Chatur with dan. That is four types of charity. Now, which four charity Jainism talks about is ahar dan, that is giving food, abhaydan, that is saving the lives of other beings who are in danger. Now, ausadhi dan, that is distribution of medicine, and gyan or sastra dan, that is spreading knowledge, as Virayatan believes in so much anyway, as siksha. Yeah. So according to Jain philosophy, violence primarily refers to injuring one's own self-behavior, and at the same time, it also leads to the harm to others that ultimately results in harming one's own soul. Now, Jainism extends the concept of non-violence not only to human beings, but also to animals, plants, microorganisms, and all who have potential of life. So life in all forms, in short, is divine and has a right to live without fear. And that is why we should be doing abhaydan. We should not be scaring any living being. And this is what Acharya Gardavali is telling the king. And there is a lot of other things that ascetic Gardavali is preaching to king, that why he should not do such, like he should not be hunting, but at the same time, he is also telling him all these things. So some of I have really shortened everything here because the chapter is long, and I have just put down just the gist of his discourse. So in some of the slokas, he is saying, why are you attached to the kingdom when you are going to leave it behind? So again, as you all understand, when we die, we are going to leave everything behind, if we are king or if we are a normal human being. So we should not be attached to our belongings, because we are all going to leave that behind. And then he is talking about life is momentary, like a flash of light, and no certainty of benefits in the next world. Yeah, which is, we all know that we don't know where we are going to go. And then ascetic Gardavali, getting aware of the reality about the selfishness of worldly relatives, King Sanjay gets initiated by listening to all this, like your family does not go with you when you die, which we all know. Then he tells him family and other people will enjoy the wealth you earn after your death. Again, we work so hard to make so much money, but when we go, we can't take it with us. So the kings are always after that. They, for them, it's not only the money, but they want to conquer more and more countries, and they want to be the top of everything. But do they ever take anything with them? No. We all know Sikandar. He won the whole world, but could he take it with him? No. So it was the same thing, like Gardavali was trying to explain everything this to the king Sanjay, and you will go to next life with the karmas that you have acquired. So that is what he's trying to explain to king. And by listening to all this, how important it is to follow Lord Mahavir's path and follow ahimsa especially. He is just telling all this to king. And on listening to all this enlightening discourse of ascetic Gardapali and getting aware of the reality about the selfishness of worldly relatives, King Sanjaya gets initiated. He gets really impressed by listening to this Acharya Gardapali, and he started, he just left everything after he became an accomplished scholar with the blessings of his guru. So he took Acharya Gardapali as his guru, and he became a lone wanderer. And the discourse given by Gardapali is so motivating even for us, not only for the king. So this is how the whole chapter goes, that whatever Acharya Gardapali is giving, like is telling the king, it does apply to all of us as well. And that is how Lord Mahavir has said this story to Gautam Swami of this Acharya Gardapali. So you should see how Lord Mahavir also respects. He doesn't talk only about him, he talks about some other acharyas who have done some good things in their life as well. So this is how he gets initiated, and he starts wandering. Now, when he's wandering, ascetic Sanjaya once meets this Kshatriya ascetic. This is another ascetic he meets. He's called Kshatriya ascetic. Now, this Kshatriya Muni preached to Sanjaya that how he preferred to follow Jain religion compared to others. So this Kshatriya Muni was very well versed. He knew his previous very long life, opulent board. Also, he knew his present life as well as he knew his spans of other lives, and he knew other people's lives as well. So in short, he was very, very learned Acharya, and he meets this king again. Of course, he's no more king, he's initiated, so he's Sanjaya. Now, and this Acharya again talks to him at length about Jainism and how important it is to follow Jainism if you want to achieve moksha. As you can see is there in the picture, the Kshatriya ascetic said to ascetic Sanjaya, Bhagwan Mahavir has said that the person who indulge in sinful deeds, including theft, violence, and drink liquors, they go to lowest hells, and those who indulge in religious activities, including meditation and charity, attain divine existence. So this Acharya Kshatriya also is giving sermons to this King Sanjaya. Now, his discussion, there had been a discussion between them two, as the king, firstly, when the king met this Acharya, he asked him, who are you? And the king told him that the Acharya Gardapali is my guru, and he has, I was quite impressed by his, what he taught me, and that is why I have initiated in this Jain religion. And at the same time, this Acharya, this Kshatriya Acharya also was quite impressed with Jainism. So they both are exchanging their views about Jainism. And some of the points that they discussed were some absolute scholars propagate false doctrines through 4 schools of philosophy. So in that time, there were a lot of different philosophies were around, but they were like, one of them was Kriya. So some believed only in action, some believed only not in action, that is in action, some believed only in humility, and some believed in ignorance. But all of you know, as Jainism has like Anekantvad. Lord Mahavir taught us that, all this to put together is the right way of religion. So now Lord Mahavir has expressed men who commit sins go to hell, and those who observe the best religious conduct attain divine rebirth. So again, we believe in soul, and this is another point that they discuss, that your soul goes forward to the next life. So during their conversation on variety of topics, all these different topics they talked about, and also this Acharya, this Kshatriya Muni talked about this philosophy of Anekantvad, why he was really impressed with Jainism as he came to know about Anekantvad, and he knew that Anekantvad, this philosophy, that Lord Rishabdeva was the first preceptor of non-absolutism, and Lord Mahavir re-established it. This is how this ascetic Kshatriya was very impressed. They also discussed some more points, like ascetic should follow the knowledge of metaphysics. One must practice austerities, leaving all the conspiracies of householder. That is, whenever one can, when you are ready for the moksha, this is the way to go forward on your religious path. Now, all the knowledge is available in Jain order, and this is very important because this Acharya Kshatriya, he studied everything, and at the end he came to the conclusion that all the things that we know, we need, all the knowledge that we need is already there in Jain order. We don't need to go anywhere. So the wise person has the belief in existence of soul, and that is why he believed that there is soul, there is existence of soul, and there is life after death and everything. So these were the points they both were discussing, and they both agreed to the same. Then now towards the end, Acharya Kshatriya is giving some related examples which he already knew, that those who followed Jainism and they achieved moksha. And some of those examples he gave, all of them were king anyway, and some of them were like, we also know about them. So he gave the examples of Emperor Bharat, Emperor Sagar, Maghwa, Sanat Kumar, Shantinath Bhagwan, that is our Tirthankar, Kuntunath Bhagwan, our Tirthankar, Arnath Bhagwan, Mahapadma, Harishen Jai, all these people, Nami Raja, they all followed Jainism and they all achieved moksha. Now, for Pratyek Buddha, so all these Pratyek Buddhas, who was like Acharya Karkandu of Kaling country, then Dvimukh of Panchal, Nami of Videhi, Nagati of Gandhar, so all of them also followed Jainism. King Udayan, king of Kasi, Vijay, Mahabal, all of them. So Acharya Kshatriya gave all these examples to king. Now, due to the time, we cannot discuss all this, how they achieved moksha, but I have just taken one about Shantinath Bhagwan, which I will discuss in a while. So, and what was the reason behind it is taking this precept of non-absolutism of Bhagwan Rishabdev as the starting point of Kshatriya ascetic, gives example of 19 great men who understood the principle well and attained liberation after following the ascetic conduct accordingly. So at the end, why he said to Sanjaya that all these brave and resolutely valorous kings got initiated into the Jain order only after being well aware of the unique excellence of Jainism. Now, how can a serene wise man move about on this earth like a madman devoid of reason? Now, how can a serene aspirant involve his soul with the unreasonable, that is without any reason, one who is free from all worldly ties, becomes free from all the karmic dirt and attain the state of perfection, which is siddhahood? So he's giving all these examples, and these are what I read was his last is in the last slok, that he gave all these examples, and he is telling him that by after learning all these people who attain more, how can one just waste their life doing nothing and doing all these wrong things? So these examples were given by Kshatriya ascetic to the ascetic Sanjaya in order to strengthen his faith in the path shown by Jina. Kshatriya Muni's discourse, philosophical discussions, establishments of non-absolutism, and related examples of noble great men are inspiring maxims to bolster the faith of all aspirants in Jain order. So if you really go through each and every slok that are in this chapter, each and every slok is talking about all this, what I have put in short, that how beautiful Jain religion is and how it can lead us to moksha. And this is why all these examples are given, that these are the people who followed Jainism and they achieved moksha. Now just see how Lord Mahavir is telling this to Gautam Swami. Also, if you all know, in chapter number 10, Gautam Swami keeps on talking about to Gautam Swami that Samayam ma go pamayaye. So means don't waste your time. So it's not that Gautam Swami was already on the way. On the way to Jainism, but he is telling this to Gautam Swami because he wants other people to learn from it. In the same way, in this chapter, although Acharya Gardavali and Acharya Kshatriya are saying all this, but it is the message for all of us as well. Yeah. So this is what he is saying. And now, so out of all this, I have just taken one example of Tirthankar Bhagwan, Shantinath Bhagwan. And this is the slok which is in the chapter, which says, Chaita Varam Vasam Chakravati Mahityo Santi Santikare Loe Patogai Manuttaram, which means very prosperous Emperor Shantinath Bhagwan. Well, of course, we say now, but at that time, Kshatriya Muni says Shantinath, who spread peace in the world, also renounced the empire of whole Bharatvarsha, got initiated and attained loftier state of liberation. So this is how all the sloks are given for all 19 examples that he had given. Now let's discuss about this one, Chaita Bharam Vasam. So what does it mean? So once there was the story of Shantinath Bhagwan is like this. In the actual book is given that once there was a great storm and many other calamities in Hastinapur area. A pandemic followed these calamities and hundreds of people started dying every day. And the king Vishwashen, father of Shantinath Bhagwan, he was very disturbed and could not do anything. So he vowed not to eat or drink until this situation settles down. Now, moved by this vow, the king of God, that is Indra Bhagwan, appeared and told him, "Why are you so disturbed? There is the embodiment of peace being carried by Queen Achira Devi." So that's Shantinath Bhagwan's mother. So then Lord Indra sang panegyric and in praise of the Tirthankar and advised the king. Now let the queen go to the rooftop and sing this panegyric. After this, let her throw a glance at the vast expanse of your kingdom all around. Now this pacifying glance of the queen will remove all miseries of whatever it reaches. Now, due to this pacifying influence, during the period of pregnancy, he was named as Shantinath Kumar. So I'm not sure if you are all aware, but during the pandemic, during the coronavirus, most of the acharyas, they advised us to do this job, to talk like every day, pray to Lord Shantinath Bhagwan. And this is the reason, because when he was conceived in mother's womb, it was so pacifying the mother's glance that everything settled down. But before that, it was just another pandemic at the time. And so many acharya do tell us to do the mantra, do lots of jap on just this one particular sloka. So Chaita Param Vasam Chakravati Mahidyo Santi Santi Kare Loe Patto Gai Manuttaram. Or there is another short one that they asked us to do mantra on Santi Santi Kare Loe. Santi Santi Kare Loe. So like that, you keep chanting and it will bring peace to us. As you all know, we were also very scared at the time of this pandemic. We just discussed that in a while. Now, so when he grew older, he became Chakravarti, Shantinath Bhagwan. And when after a long and peaceful reign, he realized that the moment of his renunciation was approaching. He went to jungle and he became ascetic and commenced his spiritual practices. After 1 year, he came back to the same jungle and attained omniscience. Now, his first discourse was on the disciplining the senses, propagated the religion for a long time, and then achieved moksha after a month-long fasting and final meditation. Now, so as you can see, even Shantinath Bhagwan, all these 19 people that the examples are given, they all follow Jainism in this way. And that is what this Acharya wanted, even King Sanjaya, to make his whatever, he already by now, he was already halfway on the path, and he wanted him to be too sure about, even so many people followed this path and they achieved moksha. So this is how he gives all the different examples. And as I said, during the corona, this sloka I have taken is because many acharyas had asked us to do the jap on this sutra. Okay, now we go. So I want everybody to please participate. I want you all to give one or the other feedback on this chapter as what fear do we live in at home and at work. What fear do we live in at home and at work? Do we live in fear, first of all? Do we? And if we do, what fear do we have?
Well, fear of catching the COVID.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Fear of losing someone.
Excellent, very good. What else? Sorry, Pramit.
I was saying about our jobs and job security, people.
Very good. That is our day-to-day fear, isn't it? Very good. Yes. So it is, you know, we recently, I think the corona is the biggest fear we all had, right? And we felt so fearful. And rightly Pramit said, every day is the, you know, at home, if somebody is ill or some, like, you know, losing the job or, you know, all that fear we always live in. So the other thing I would like to know is, should we scare anybody? And that includes little kids as well. I think we tend to do that very often.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Should we scare others? Is there on the screen as well?
I would say no, because if you put yourself in that position yourself, would you want to be scared? That's how I would think about it.
Excellent. But sometimes unknowingly, do we do it? Do we scare other people unknowingly?
Yes, 100%.
100%. This is it. So that is where we need to really focus ourselves, that my reaction to anything, even if person has made a mistake, or if it's not in my favor, how do I react? Like, and this is why this story is so important. That did you see how Acharya Gardabali's reaction was? Although the king he knew he had done something wrong, but his reaction was so peaceful. He said, look, how good you feel when I'm not going to shout at you, or I'm not going to really get angry with you, because this is our first reaction. When somebody makes any mistake, especially something to do with us, our first reaction is we get angry. Now this comes at work, even at home with little children. So this is something, it's a very, very strong message we get from this chapter, that, we, no matter what, if we keep ourselves calm, at least it does not scare the other person. Because when the other person is scared, he's bound to make mistake. And with the kids, they'll start lying to you. So this is another thing. And now, so when do we react in anger? When someone makes mistake, this is a very good, very strong point. The reaction can produce fear in other person. So as I said, we compared it, to the Acharya Gardabali's. Now, how many different ways can we exercise Abhaydan? This is, how many different ways that we can make people fearless? How do we exercise Abhaydan? Abhaydan is mainly like you are making people fearless. How do we do it? We do it day in and out, one way or the other.
I think Parul wants to say something.
Yes.
Calming the person down, telling them to take a deep breath, and try and talk to them.
Excellent, Parul. Very good. Very good. Anybody else?
You use the example of little children. I'm recently a new dad as well, so I have the experience with my child, which is he's very experimental right now. So I try not to stop him from doing anything, even if it may cause him pain, because I don't want him to be scared going forward, putting himself in those positions.
Very good. Excellent. Good reaction. Yes, good. So, and also, like, there are a lot of other things by not doing fireworks. Jainism is always against fireworks. So what are we doing? By not doing fireworks, we are giving Abhaydan to all those little insects which are in the air. Because just imagine somebody makes, like we're just sitting and somebody comes and makes big noise right next to us. How much scared do we get? Yeah. So by not doing the fireworks, talking patiently, be positive about everything, by spreading love around us, being friendly with other people. So the main thing as in Jainism, it says, like, by doing samayik, at least for that 1 hour, we are giving that Abhaydan to all around us, because we are taking that vow that I am not going to, for next 48 minutes, I'm not going to get involved in any pravrutti, especially any pap pravrutti, any actions I'm going to do. So that is another way of doing Abhaydan while you are doing samayik. And the same way while you are fasting, so many living beings, like one sense being, two sense being, that we are giving Abhaidan to because we are not eating. So that's Abhaidan. So there are so many different ways that we can do Abhaidan by practicing all these different things. And mainly, I would say, replace anger with forgiveness. Yeah? So you can do Abhaidan with so many different ways. And the last thing I would like to talk about is in Jainism, they have categorized all these different fear in these 7 different categories. Yeah, so it is called Sat Bhai Stan, which is 7 fear foundations. Yeah, so there are 7 fears that has been categorized, and which a living being undergoes and can be classified in 7. So fear has its, first of all, just let's understand the fear has its roots in our affection and our attachment. You know, when we are attached to something, that is when the fear crops up. When we get rid of mindness, everything is mine, mine, mine. So until we don't get rid of that, then only we can go over fear. Fear is a type of demerit action, actually. It's a pap pravrutti, you know. So pap, as per Lord prescribed, yeah, it is a type of mohniya karma. It's a delusion karma that we keep binding more and more karmas while we are in fear. So it's like vice versa. When we are in fear, we tend to bind more karma. So it is really like a type of mohniya karma. Yeah. So fear is a type of mohniya karma, and that's why it's been categorized in 7 different ways. So first one is ihaloka bhaya. So it's a fear of this world. Now, what does it mean by that? Is we are scared of the same category of living being, like we are human beings. So we are also scared of some other human being who are much stronger to us. Yeah, or then, and sometimes, I hate to say, but this, like, wife is scared of husband, husband is wife or scared, like, you know, wife of, like, he's scared of wife. That is possible, but that is the category of ihaloka bhai. That and in the same way, even in Tiryans, like a dog will be scared of another dog, or a lion will be scared of another lion, and so on. So that is called ihaloka bhai, the same category people. And then it comes parloka bhai, it's a fear of next world. Is when we are scared of another being. For example, we are scared of lion, so that's another, that's parlok. Yeah, in the same way, like the rat is scared of mouse, Tyrian is scared of human being, and like all the animals are scared of lion in the same way. So that is parlok bhai. The third one is adan bhai, fear of losing property, theft. Already we talked about it, that if you are living, if I lose my thing, then fear. But you know, this is very, very common in all of us, this losing anything. But this only happens when I have something of mine. If I lose my house, I am scared, I start like sweating. But if I hear somebody else is at fire, somebody else's house at fire, we don't get scared. We say, oh, it's his house. And then on top of that, if we hear again, oh, maybe my relative was in that house which was on fire, then again you start panicking. So here, again, what I'm trying to get at is always that mindness, which is as long as we have mindness in everything, we are always going to live with the fear. Yeah. So it is that we need to get rid of our mindness. And if you are living a life in holiness and pious life, then you do not need to worry about any of this. Yeah. As long as you are living a good life, when, you know, a truthful life, then you don't need to get scared of it. You shouldn't have the fear. Now the fourth one is Ajivika Bhai, which we already talked about it, but this Ajivika Bhai, again, it includes, like, we are always scared, oh, what will happen if earthquake happens, or if any natural calamities. Again, we come back to this, like, the COVID happened, and we were all scared at the time. We were scared of losing the job. We were, if money khai jase to su thase. It's like that, yeah. So we are always living in that fear as well. So that is called Ajivika Bhai. And sometimes we are like, if when you are studying, you think, oh, when I finish studying, am I going to get a job or not? Am I going to be able to feed the family or not? So that is Ajivika Bhai. And then Akashman Bhai, again, is we are always scared of accidents. Oh, what will happen if you go on that merry-go-round? Sometimes you think, oh, what happened if it will break? Then what will happen? Yeah, so it's something that has not happened, but you always have that fear. It might break, and then what's going to happen? Yeah, and then is Maran Bhai, that is the fear of death, which we are always living under. We are always feared. And in Jainism, there is a good word we use in Jainism is Jiji Visha. Every living being, no matter what, every living being, they always want to live. They do not want to die. And the word is for that is Jiji Visha. Everybody wants to live. We are all scared of death. But that is because until we do not understand that it's just the body is dying, not the soul. And it is easily said, but it's difficult. When it comes into practice, it is very difficult. But until we do not understand this difference, this fear is always going to be there. And then the last one is Akshay Bhai. Oh my God, this one, we all live into it. 80% of our decisions are made on the basis of what people will say. We like our name and we like our fame. And that is how we make our decisions. Yeah. So it's always the fear of the society. One is like reputation and what others will say and what others are going to think about me. And all these questions are always put in front of us before we make any decision. Thus, we end up taking most of decisions by what other people are going to say. So that is up years by. So Jainism has categorized these mainly 7 by, but all the other fears do fall into these 7 categories. So why Jainism has given so much importance to Abhaydan? It is very important to be fearless, to progress on a spiritual path and otherwise. The meaning of fearlessness is that position a sadhak is in, whereby no matter what situation he is in, he has that very special instinct of his mind, which produces the strength that even in difficult situation, it keeps him steady on his path of religion. And we have a very, very good example of our Lord Mahavir. Look at him, a snake bite, Goshalak's harassments, and the nails in his ears. Never he was fearful. He had been through so many things. He was never fearful. He was bearing everything with so much equanimity, since he knew that it was the fruitions of his past karmas, and that he will have to definitely bear, either this time or he probably reacts in anger and he will bind more karmas and he will have to wait for another fruition. So he made his choice. So when one is in a state of aparigraha and living in absolute moment, one perceives that there is no fear. Aparigraha, again, you know that mindness, until we don't get rid of it, the fear is always going to be there. Similarly, one should ponder and get insights about all other fear that is mentioned above. One should neither live in fear nor put other living beings in a state of fear either. So Mahavir, then Mahavir Bhagwan suggested Abhaydanam, the highest and the best of all the merits, and charity is freeing oneself and others from all kinds of fears. So this is the top charity one can give, is Abhaydan. Yeah. So, and there's another thing, Achar, I read in a book that all the Samyak Drasti Atma are always nearby. Yeah. So Dharma cannot survive where there is fear. Also, where there is truth, there is no fear. Okay. So it is very, very important to be fearless. Therefore, I have just come to this sort of thing that fear. What is fear? Fear has two meanings. As you can see, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is ours, my friends. It's up to us. So this is about how one has to be fearless. And now I would just like to talk about a little bit more on when in Jainism, it's been mentioned so many places. So first of all, like, when we go to sleep, my mother-in-law always used to tell us that, okay, you have to say 7 times Noka Mantra. And I would say, why 7 times? You can say 6 or 5 or 8 or whatever. Why only 7? And she explained to me these 7 Noka mantras are to get over these 7 fears that are being given. And that is why before we go to sleep, we always say 7 Noka mantra to come over this such void. And then we say always, like, that, okay, now even if I die, I'm leaving my everything here. And this is how we sort of take our agar santaro and we go to sleep. I'm sure in your house also all the elders, or maybe some of you, are already doing this. So, and we say Ekmaro Atmat Saswat, it means it's only my soul, but otherwise everything is going to stay here. I'm only going to go with my, so this is why we talk about 7 Noka mantra before going to sleep. Now also in Bhaktamar Stotra, many stanzas are recommended to come to get over the fear, but especially number 47 Gatha is again to get over the fear. If people always chant this Gatha number 47 of Bhaktamar Stotra, which is like Mata Dvipendra Mrugiraj Davan Alahi, Mata Dvipendra Mrugiraj Davan Alahi, Sangrama Variti Mahodara Bandhanotam, Tasya Sunashumipaya Atipayam Biyeva, Yastavakam Stavamimam Matimanadite. So it means a person who reads this poem with devotion never has of afflictions or any fear or notion, and elephant in rage, angry lion, furious fire, horrible sea, turbulent war, devastating imprisonment, rigorous, and so on. Now, so also when we say Namottanu, the last 2 words we say Namo Jinanam Jiya Bhayanam. What does that mean? Namo Jinanam, I bow down to, O Lord Jineswar, Jiya Bhayanam, conqueror of 7 fears. So our Tirthankars, our Arhat Prabhu, they are all conquerors of these 7 fears. Now, so this is a very popular sutra of Jainism that really gives us to remove fear and anxiety. So I don't know how are we doing with time from it. I would just like to play it for a minute. This it's quite soothing. So if anybody sometimes feel very fearful, I would say go on YouTube, and this is.
Yes, okay. We can't hear it very clearly.
No?
No.
Okay, 1 second. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. I hope you liked it. It is quite soothing. Sometimes I put it on and it is very soothing. So I would like to end my talk here. If you have any questions, please. I know we are running a little bit over the time.
Thank you very much. Hinaben, if you can on-share your screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. I found that really fascinating. I really enjoyed reading some of these slides about fear, different types of fear, because as you say, we all share the same fears, but having awareness of these fears and then being able to try and overcome them is really interesting in how we can do that. And I like the statement you said about truth, how that can overcome fear. Okay, so I wanted to just make a couple of announcements and then we can close. So if you allow me just to share my screen. So hopefully you can see on my screen. Oops, sorry. So next Sunday, the 6th of March, we have a special event planned. Some of you may be aware, Acharyaji Chandanaji was awarded the prestigious Padma Shri Award in India by Government of India. It's the first time a Jain Sadhvi has actually been awarded such an amazing award. 1 second, sorry. And we'd like to actually mark this occasion because Acharyaji, I mean, in today's life, for example, she's fearless. And if some of you are aware of her life story, you will know some of the things that she's lived through with absolute fearlessness. So please join us. You will get these details through the emails and so on. So look out for that. Finally, I'd like to also obviously just say tonight, before we end with the prayer, one of the things that all our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Ukraine, who are unfortunately experiencing extreme violence and war at the moment. So I think it would be appropriate for us to say a special prayer for the people who are suffering right now. So Hinaben, if you could finish the evening with a prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I just request you to close your eyes. Chai Mangalam, Parhamta Mangalam, Siddha Mangalam, Sahu Mangalam, केवली पनतो तमो मंगलम चत्तारी लोगुत्तमा अहंता लोगुत्तमा हिंसा लोगुत्तमा साहू लोगुत्तमा केवली पनतो तमो लोगुत्तमो चत्तारी शरणं पवचामि अर्हन्ते शरणं पवचामि सीते शरणं पवचामि साहू शरणं पवचामि केवली पनतं तम्मं शरणं पवचामि पवचामि. Jai Chinendra, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next week.